What's up, YouTube? Nick K here. What's up, beautiful people? Nick K here. Welcome to the Breakthrough Part 1. The title of this breakthrough is Finding Myself at Age 26. So, as the title says, I'm 26. I feel like at this age, a lot of people think they have to have everything figured out, settling down, and in a world that's intertwined and interconnected, I feel like it's a lot easier to get overwhelmed and think that you need to be somewhere when in reality, everyone, even you, we are at where we need to be. And so, one reason why I kind of want to bring this topic up is right now I'm going through a career change where my back is against the wall, and my own judgment and doubt has cost me a lot to realize that I have everything to gain, I have nothing to lose. So why not just risk it for the biscuit? And you might be thinking, why should I listen to this guy's advice? You don't have to. I just have some advice that was shared with me from the will of those who came before me. And if it helps me, then I have no doubt it can help you. Now, to start off this story, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, tell you guys a little insight about my life. Um, yeah, I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. Grew up in a very loving home, two loving parents, and they put me into a lot of sports. I have two siblings, an older brother and a twin sister, so I was always causing trouble with them. And yeah, pretty much as a kid, played all the sports my parents put me into, like t-ball, baseball, basketball, football, flag football. And I did wrestling in high school. I did track and field pole vault, which was so much fun. And I think wrestling was the biggest kind of motivator throughout my high school years. In wrestling, I would literally have PTSD going into the wrestling room because my coach was an absolute monster of a coach, like in a good way and a scary way. He would condition us to the point of no return. I remember my first wrestling practice, I literally passed out. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I've never been so worked out in my life. And I remember my mind after I passed out, it was in fight or flight mode. And then I woke up and I kept conditioning with the team. And then after that, I was scared to go into practice every day. But one day turned into the next, into the next. Lo and behold, my coach ended up getting fired because the conditioning he put us through was considered hazing. Like one parent ratted on him because a kid went home crying to his parents. And honestly, that coach was the best coach I've ever had. I've never been pushed so much to the limit physically, mentally, spiritually. And I've seen my teammates and myself cry in moments of conditioning. And so I'd like to thank personally Coach Kyle for setting the foundation so strong and teaching me what it's like to literally stop my thinking and just keep on moving no matter how painful I feel, no matter how high my heart rate is, no matter how much I feel like I'm dying. You can always push past that barrier. So Coach Kyle, Coach Pasqua, all of them, Coach Darren, like they really taught me that work ethic. And so that leads me into, I also was in band for like, I played trumpet for like 6 principal years, made honor band, was in marching band. I was like a geek, whatever. And that taught me how to be dedicated to a craft. Like I took private lessons and all that. And yeah, I started lifting about age 14 after an off season in wrestling. And so I've always been pretty athletic and sportsy, but wrestling taught me that work ethic of really pushing past barriers mentally, physically. And then, yeah, throughout all that, I was raised Catholic. So up until sophomore year of high school, I went to church school after my normal school. And once I got confirmed, my dad gave me a choice to either continue going to church or not go to church. And that was the deal. it was, hey, you got to keep doing this until you're confirmed. After you're confirmed, you can do whatever. So I was like, I'm not going to church. Like, I'm just a young, dumb kid. I'm going to spend my time hanging out with friends and all that. And that's what I did. So I chose to stop going to church and ended up going to college up at Boise State University, Go Broncos, where I joined a fraternity, the Sigma Chi fraternity, and it was super fun. Committed a bunch of debauchery, had an amazing time. I almost flunked out of school one semester because I drank so much. And this is a little side story, but basically, I had 4 classes. One was a pass fail, and then I missed a test on a class. So I had a D in one class, and it just had massive leverage over my GPA. So that semester, I had a 2.0. I lost my scholarship, and my parents kept asking me for my grade reports. And over the summer, it was the day before we had a family vacation going to India. They asked for my grade report, and I kept putting it off because I didn't want them to see the 2.0. And that night, I showed them my grade report, and they're like, "You are so cooked." And basically, I told them, "Look, I'm staying home from India because I need to work. I need to save some money. I probably lost a scholarship." So, lo and behold, ended up, what's it called? Ended up appealing for the scholarship. I got a lower scholarship, but ended up staying enrolled. And yeah, it was pretty close. I almost flunked out of college. Anyways, from then on, the years after that, I made it on the dean's list. And yeah, from there, the next biggest chapter of my life was pursuing door to door sales. Now, when I first heard about this through a friend, I thought it was a pyramid scheme, so I didn't do it. A year later, he comes back, says he makes a bunch of money selling pest control door to door. I was like, bet, I'm going to do it. And that first year, my parents were able to talk me out of it and instill enough doubt into it, despite how intrigued I was. Ultimately, I had the final decision, but I had all these doubts, so I didn't do it. After I saw the proof of the pudding with my buddies doing it, I ended up deciding to do it. This was 2019 COVID year, so school shuts down early. All my friends are getting paid, getting stimulus check to drink up in Boise, Idaho, and I'm seeing this on my social media. And I'm just out there grinding, reading a sales script, learning door to door, yeah, and backtrack a little bit. In high school, one of my biggest victories was, hey, I always saw myself as super shy, super introverted, and through that, I got like I'm talking, I would sweat profusely when I would talk to people, and I would stutter and not know what to even say to people. And then from there, I picked up a book, which I hated reading books, but out of just hunger for knowledge and wanting to get rid of this weak side of myself, I wanted to equip myself with as much knowledge as possible on how to talk to people. So the first book I ever picked up was by Eckhart Tolle. It's called The Power of Now. It's a meditation book, and the reason why I picked up that book is I learned to silence the doubts and the thoughts that poisoned my mind, coming from my ego trying to protect itself. So I got really big into meditation, and like this was senior year of high school and all that. And then I would pick up books like 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, or like How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, which I picked up freshman year of college. That helped me join the fraternity too, learning all those social tips. That's one of the best books ever. By the way, if you want to learn how to communicate, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. But yeah, so that's a really good one, and I'll actually show you guys too. There's my little library, if you can see it, that I've compiled over the years. Anyways, yeah, so where was I? So I wanted to learn how to talk to people, and it was one girl's perspective of myself that forever shattered my own perspective. I always saw myself as nervous, and I never had an end goal to get rid of it. I was just always thinking, how can I not be nervous? At this point, I probably read through like 20 different books my senior year of high school on how to talk to people. I was applying it behind the scenes through talking with my friends. They didn't even know I felt this nervous. And then when we graduated, this one girl told me that I was the most social person she's ever met. And that shattered my mind, my whole perspective, and my whole worldview, because the whole time I saw myself as introverted, and it paid off. So that was pretty cool. So I was super involved in self improvement and all that, wanting to learn how to communicate with people. And the reason I bring that up, that's why I joined Door to Door. They sold me on the idea that going up to a person's door, talking to them, getting their credit card info, and selling them is the most ultimate way of entrepreneurship. And I honestly think it is. I know I was partly indoctrinated and still am to this day of the beliefs of door to door, but I firmly believe that it was such a vital stepping stone in my life to get to where I am today. And so during COVID, I knocked on doors. I made 30 grand in a summer. I went back. Everyone got paid over summer to do COVID, and I had the most fun time during COVID. I never caught COVID, which was awesome, until I went back into college because everyone's drinking and all that up in Boise, Idaho. Crazy party school, by the way. Absolute bonkers. But yeah, when I came back from that summer, it was the most victorious thing ever because the company I worked for was not everyone made it. Like it was super tough, like knocking 12-hour days, skipping lunch because an hour a day of 100 days is 100 hours. That's like a week's worth of knocking. That's like almost a 10 grand difference of sales, or 5 grand as a rookie, whatever. So yeah, we were like the Navy SEALs of pest control. And then I recruited my friends to do it, made even more money the next year as a manager. And yeah, the mentorship was really, really awesome. And then that next year, I ended up joining a different company. And my my best friends that I worked with and I like did workshops, sales shops with, like it was a super fun time. But all my best friends I worked with kind of ghosted me. And the reason why was corporate put a court case after me for a non compete for switching companies. And so this was a really big kind of pivotal moment in my life. But regardless, I joined a different sales company. They were awesome too. Recruited some more of my friends to join. And I did door to door sales for about 4 years. And in those 4 years, I had leadership positions in the office. And I could show you guys all my trainings. I would come up with trainings every day because I was not the best salesman. I produced, but I would say at a pretty average level. But the philosophy and the psychology I actually took so profoundly that I wanted to share it with my team. Psychology, philosophy I've learned throughout my life and throughout the facet of sales I wanted to share with my teammates. So I taught door to door sales for 4 years, made a buttload. I'm talking a buttload of money. And yeah, at this point, I was still up in Boise. I would always lift too. Lifting was a consistent variable throughout my last 12 years of living. I'm 26 now, so I started working out as 14. And yeah, I was always pretty strong. The goal has always been to get stronger. And I think that's just because growing up as a short guy, I'm 5'6", by the way. I kind of got bullied a little bit, and I was always super insecure with my height. I felt weak, and just knowing what it's like to feel weak and insecure made me want to feel strong. So I overcompensate with my psychology and philosophy because where I lack in my body, I will make up for it in my mind. I think the mind is the greatest weapon. And more on that later. But yeah, after door to door sales, I spent the last 2 years off. Kind of went to Bali for a month and then traveled around a little bit, did some self discovery, and then I played a lot of League of Legends in that last 2 years, which throughout college and door to door sales, I quit. I literally threw my laptop out of my backyard and I quit cold turkey video gaming for 6 years. But when I quit door to door, I picked it back up, and yeah, League of Legends is toxic. Anyways, I haven't touched that in about 4 months, 5 months, but yeah, it's been super fun of a time, and the reason why I got out of door to door was I felt like after getting sued that this whole job was political, and even though I worked for great offices and teams and management, my purpose no longer was being fulfilled in that job. So nothing on like both companies. Um, they're actually phenomenal. Even the one that did sue me, I still have love for all of them. And one thing I will say is Jordan Peterson says, pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. So the last 2 years, I spent money on a camera, started video recording myself, posting, got yelled at by a lady in the gym, stopped recording, got super insecure, and sat on my thumbs for 2 years. And then, so yeah, I've been living the last 2 years off my sales money and living with my parents. And as time goes on, like, yeah, money's running thin. But the last 100 days of my life has forever transformed. I've just taken massive action. And one thing I want to tell you guys is when I left door to door sales, when you leave something you've done for a long time, you will go through a really tough identity crisis. For me, like, I was just super, super lost. I had no direction. And the only thing I kept doing was lifting, and I kept finding different forms of lifting. Like the last 2 years, I got into calisthenics, and basically, yeah, that fast forwards. That's like a little Spark Notes summary. I'll probably fill in some more gaps the more breakthroughs I talk about, so you guys can know a little bit about me. But I have a hard time talking about myself thoroughly and telling stories about myself because I usually like to let people talk about themselves, but this is what YouTube's for. Anyways, the last 100 days being so broken mentally, spiritually, just because I was like gaming, I was drinking so much with my friends, I was addicted to nicotine. The last 100 days, this is exactly how I've lived it, okay? I came off a cruise from Mexico with my family. The last night of the trip, I met a multimillionaire. We spent the whole night together, not in that way, but just talking in this like VIP lounge he brought me in, and like I was just drunk as shit, like trying to understand how his mind works and asking him questions. He told me he's never taken a single drug or a single drop of alcohol in his life. Now, there's no prototypes to success. There's people who drink, do drugs, and they're successful. But for me, I was drunk 7 days on this cruise, permanently drunk and hungover. And I was like, dude, I need a break. I've had a Zin in for probably fucking 6 months straight. Like, I need a break. And so after that cruise, I went home. I took a break from nicotine and drinking, and then my buddy told me he got his natural pro card in 5 weeks with the INBA PNBA Bodybuilding Federation. Seeing him become a natural pro bodybuilder, I was like, fuck, dude, I want to do that. So I prepped as well for 5 weeks. I hired a coach. In 5 weeks, I signed up for my natural pro card, or I signed up for bodybuilding and classic, and prepped, ended up getting 2 natural pro cards in bodybuilding and classic. And then my coach said, dude, you actually have like potential to get your IFBB pro card. And I was like, bro, stop all that chatter. Like, you probably like want to inject me with steroids. Like, I can't do that. He's like, no, I mean naturally. And I was like, okay, now we're talking. And so I signed up for another competition. So that was August 23rd was when I got 2 natural pro cards. That's when I turned 26. And then at day 80, that was like day 35 of prep, was my first show. Then at day 80 was my second show, the Ace of Stage put on in Las Vegas by Samson Productions. And so I signed up for that. That's my NPC debut. And I won all my classes I signed up for and ended up winning the classic physique overall. And then the reason why we did that one was I needed to qualify for the nationals NPC. That way I can get my FBB pro card. So right after I got my natural pro card, he's like, this is the route we have to take. We have to qualify you for a national show, get you to NPC Nationals in Dallas, Texas. That's how we're going to get your pro card. And I said, dude, treat me like an absolute lab experiment. I will do whatever it takes, except substance, like steroids, accept those, so I can get my FBB pro card. And then, yeah, from there we signed up. We qualified for nationals. Now I am 60 days out from aiming to acquire my IFBB pro card. Now, financially, I'm not the richest I've ever been in my life. However, I will say I have been the most fulfilled I've ever been in my life. As the highly esteemed philosopher 21 Savage says, I'd rather be broke in jail than be dead and rich. In a world where everything is trying to pull your attention, your energy, and your resources, your attention and your energy is your greatest resource. That's what you have to understand. What you focus on is what you see. And one thing I wish somebody would have told me earlier, rather than getting baited by money, distractions, and debauchery, is your direction is more important than your speed, no matter where you aim. Now, you want to pursue, this is why it's important to pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. People can try to lure you in with money, but once I made money, I wasn't happy. And I made it in a very meaningful way, teaching my guys philosophy, sales, learning how to communicate with people, break their preconceived notions about being shy, teaching them how to talk to people, how to be honest, sell them, and all this stuff. Learning how to limit test their minds when they think, oh, like people in this neighborhood hate me, like they're gonna call the cops on me. And just having that mental grit of door-to-door sales was actually just so awesome. But dealing with rejection too, and the art of communication and persuasion is big. But yeah, throughout all these different avenues of life, like I made money and I've been empty. And one thing, like I said, that's always been consistent is bodybuilding. That is my passion. It was mainly lifting and just getting strength. That's always been my goal. And for some reason, going down this route of bodybuilding, finally at age 26, has given me purpose. And when I left my job, I left with a lot of money in the bank, savings and a cushion, and ready to transition careers. Sat on my ass for 2 years doing nothing. And now, in the last 100 days, I've taken action to become a professional bodybuilder. I want to get into content creation and I want to become an influencer, fitness influencer. And I want to share psychology and philosophy because the tools that have been shared with me, it is my obligation to share them with anybody who can find value out of them. Because if they can help me, I feel like they can help you. They were passed down to me. It is my duty to share them with you. So, that is my journey of finding myself at age 26. And I don't know how this is going to end, but all I can say is right now I'm focused on trying to be more honest with you guys. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's not, honestly, I want to be more transparent with you guys on showing you guys what my mindset is, because I'm usually like trying to keep everything to myself. I haven't even had time to really celebrate like my bodybuilding wins. I just won, and it's like, okay, next show. Like I'm in prep again. So, anyways, yeah, right now I'm backed in a corner, and this is the route I've felt the most fulfilled. The goal is to obtain the IFBB Pro card, scale my online coaching business, as well as just get big on content creation. And at the beginning, it was super tough. I was super scared and insecure. But if your mission is truly altruistic and it is meaningful to you and you can transform lives for the better, why should you ever let the opinions and judgments of other people stop you from achieving that dream? It shouldn't. It doesn't make sense. So I realized for myself, there's no reason to be a bitch because I feel like I can truly change people's lives throughout the journey. The only thing I'm scared of is literally my own potential. I'm scared to fail and not get this IFBB Pro. That's kind of why I'm scared to document all this stuff. But one thing I've learned is it's also it's also about who you become. And rather than just showing the beginning and the end result, I want to show you guys kind of like the process of me becoming what I am. So, yeah, anyways, current lifestyle right now, the last 100 days, the biggest shifts. I am 107 days clear from alcohol and Zins. I've been eating the same shit every day. Sweet potatoes, rice, ground beef, 93.7, chicken breasts, um, sauerkraut, blueberries, oatmeal, and I've been lifting for 3 days on, 1 days off. Push pull legs, rest, push pull legs, rest, and I've been gymming and I do cardio every day pretty much, and I've been going to the gym for about on average 4 to 6 hours, 6 days a week, pretty much, and yes, I'm still natural for those of you who still ask. We'll see for how long though, because after I get this pro card naturally, I might have to become an Olympian. That's jokes, maybe. But yeah, so anyways, I'm trying to do that, and yeah, I'm just really trying to go pro. I've been practicing posing every day, and it is getting a little bit monotonous as I am on day 92 of bodybuilding prep, and I have 60 more days, but on the 8 week mark, so my gosh, I'm having a stroke. Anyways, 8 weeks out, there's never been a better time for me to document this journey, share it with you guys, and just show you guys the package I can bring. So the goal is to get better, more sharper, and just obtain this IFBB Pro card. And as far as I see it, there's a 2.0 version of myself that exists out there that is an IFBB Pro. I'm not that guy yet. I have to become that version of myself. So, what do I need to do in order to become that version of myself? Don't focus on what you are now. Focus on who you need to become in order to become what you want to become. Don't let the opinions and judgments of others create self-doubt in your mind. And yeah, this is pretty much the journey of me finding myself at age 26. So, let's see. If there's anything I'm missing out on, I'm going to have a too long didn't read section. Okay. Pursue your purpose over your paycheck. Pursue what's meaningful, not what's expedient. Your direction is more important than your speed. As 21 Savage says, I'd rather be broke in jail than be dead and rich. 5. If your mission is truly altruistic, There's no reason why you should let the opinions and judgments of others compromise your mission. Number 6, just be grateful in spite of your suffering. And number 7, just take massive action to pursue what's meaningful. That's the best thing to do. Wake up with a smile on your face, be nice and treat others nicely, serve others, and share with others the gift of yourself. Because right now you have innate talent and gifts, maybe not innate, maybe you've learned them, and it is your duty in order to share those talents with others. Hopefully this yap session helps somebody, but I appreciate your guys' time with Breakthrough Part 1. Hopefully this breakthrough, hopefully somebody can utilize this breakthrough. And yeah, just God bless you guys' endeavors and Godspeed.